Welcome everybody here, Brady from BGWX. We are live again, breaking down the upcoming snowstorm tomorrow, and we are also going to be breaking down the snow is coming, maybe, or maybe not. We're going to talk about as well. I'm sure that's what a lot of you are more interested in this weekend. Maybe some of you are tired of front end thumps, but I think tomorrow's going to be pretty interesting as well. So don't let it don't don't underestimate tomorrow. That's all I say. And we're going to be breaking this all down. So come on in. It's going to be a blast. And without further ado, let me get set up here and we'll get started. Michael Phillips, how are we doing? How are we doing, Michael? All right, we're good there. Let's get the X chat going. Got to create my broadcast. Here we go. Sean, how we doing? Z, how we doing? How we doing, everybody? Getting set up here. What did I name my stream here? Yes, welcome everybody. Come on in. We're getting set up here. It's going to be a blast. Where are we all from? Where are we all from? Let me know. What time does the Euro come out? The Euro will come out in about a half hour. Multiple major snowstorms. Back. How are we doing, everybody? How are we doing? Where are we all from in the chat? Let me know. Excuse me. How was everybody's Valentine's Day today, if you celebrate the Hallmark holiday? All right, there we go. Got our X broadcast all set up. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Bobby, milk and bread concern growing for this weekend. I'm telling you, this weekend is there's gonna be some fun this tomorrow. I'm telling you. I want to be wrong, but who knows? Unfortunately, don't have confidence in the big one. 12:15 in America. Thank you, Chef Curry. Boston, yes. Yeah. Aberdeen, Maryland, shout out. Bregman, yes, Bobby. Got Bregman. And a great deal, too. Tim G, I got low expectations, but high hopes for next Thursday, New York City. New York City can get some snow tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. Canadian makes me feel some type of way. I know, me too. New York City, shout out New York City. Yeah, where are we all at? XChat, YouTube, shout out. Where are we all from? How's NYC looking? We're going to talk about it tomorrow and next week. We're all going to talk about it. So first, we're going to talk about the weekend because that's tomorrow. This is the weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend. What a great account that was. Too bad it's gone. Yes, we're here. So we live. We're breaking this all down. We're going in depth. We laid the groundwork some last night. All right. Let me get the chat. Literally, the Bulls. Canadian is wild. We're from Long Island to Mass. Yeah, Canadian was a heck of a run. And we're going to talk about it. Stream till 3 or I riot. I doubt it. Alrighty, let's get started here. Yes, keep saying where we're all from. I love peeping seeing where we're all from here in the chat. It's awesome. All different parts of the country, regions, being brought together here through the atmosphere and me. So it makes me feel wholesome. Gives me too much ego, by the way. So just so you know. But yeah, so let's get I got no water tonight, so that's going to be unfortunate for my voice, but left it upstairs, but that's okay. Okay. Alrighty. One too big. There we go. That's what that. That's what that. Yes, I am live, Matt. Nothing like. Listen, you know you're a real weather weenie when you have friends texting you model runs. That's when you know you're. That's when you know you're a real weather weenie. How confident am I in Thursday? We're gonna talk about it. Hello from Massapequa. Hello, Gina. How are you doing? I'm saying 2 to 3 feet on Thursday. Well, I hope if you're right, just tell me what the lottery tickets are, and I'll be happy. Oh, I need to send out a post too, by the way. I will record myself doing a headfirst nosedive. Right? I will record myself if we get like 3 feet of snow. I will record myself doing a full-on dive into one of those drifts. Boom, right there. See, that's the analysis. That's what I will do. I will jump here and I go straight, high velocity max, probably a good, we'll get a good mini jog to sprint going somewhere in between. And then boom, we take off here. You can see we'll take off from the Western US and then we'll dive right down into the snowbank here, just like the upper level energy. And we'll go boom, straight into it. Straight into it we'll go. And it won't be a face reveal. It won't be a face reveal. It'll be me. It'll be me recording myself. It'll be a figure reveal, I guess. But you will see. but what you will see is like the analysis. I will go from here. I will dive straight down into that snowbank, right? Upper level energy, right? I'll go on top of the ridge. I'll slide down and just like a trough, dropping in here, and then I will be, boom, diving headfirst into it. Ideally with some snow goggles or something. I actually don't have those. I could probably use those. I'll order some if it looks like it's coming on Monday. I'm gonna order some on Amazon, some snow goggles, and we'll be in business. Yeah. Hey, yes, Matt sent you a message on the OZ. Yes, I saw it briefly. It's not on Pivotal. Where is it? Where is the UCMed on? Only Media Essential. Okay. Yes, I am geeking. But yeah, that's my analysis on how I'm going to dive head first, right? If we get about 30 inches of snow, I'm going to here, boom, diving head first, boom, right into the snowdrift. Oh no, I saw the pick, Matt. I saw the pick, but it's coming on Pivotal soon, right? Probably 12ish. All right, then I'll look at it. Alrighty. Joseph, how are we doing? Yes, I don't know why it gave me, for some people on X, it gives me their username. So, yeah, that was strange. All right. My voice is going to be cooked. I have no liquids, unfortunately. So, where do you think the OZ Euro is going to be for tonight? I don't know where it's going to be. I hope it's a massive snowstorm. That'd be beautiful. But I don't know where it's going to be. Again, all things considered. All right, we're going to talk about that. We'll get to that. First, though, we have to lay the groundwork for tomorrow's storm because tomorrow's going to be a significant. In NYC northward, you need to be paying close attention. You need to be paying close attention. It's going to be New York City. You are going to be teetering that line quite again. I will say yet again tomorrow. So again, like we talked about, and actually, I'm going to pull up satellite in a second here. When we transition to the next storm, that's when I'm going to pull up satellite. We're going to show you what's going on here. And I think it will continue. I don't think we'll be done yet through February. Red Sox great offseason. Now the OZ seems the only things left are Patriots signing T. Higgins and the Celtics going back to back. And the OZ Euro tonight. I think it's Snowstorm. UCMed seems he have similar data simulations. Let's hope so. Okay. Let's get that. Yes. I'm here for it. I'm at 500 feet elevation, Morris Plains, hoping for 4 inches. Well, yep, North Jersey certainly in play tomorrow to get a good front end thump. So, again, here's what we got cooking for tomorrow. Here's our storm currently. Here's our upper level energy here at 500. You can see dynamic has organized overnight and today, and now we're getting all this overrunning precip tomorrow out ahead. And this sets the stage for tomorrow PM. And look what happens here. This overrunning precip gets out ahead, right? And this sets the stage now for an opportunity tomorrow night for you to really thump, right? It will be brief in New York City, but you will get some snow. And here's the reason I'm kind of optimistic about this. Overrunning precip, some models a lot of times can tend to overdo the precip with this, especially with such a strong ridge. Getting out ahead, we're going to be pretty well saturated too tomorrow. That's the thing. That's the one thing I will say is we're going to be pretty well saturated. Very weak ascent. Not much lift to work with tomorrow in the dendritic growth zone, and we'll pull up some soundings and kind of show that. But what we will have is we will be saturated out ahead. We'll have cold air in place, and we will be saturated. So we have some positives going for us in the overrunning. Could be several hours of like light to moderate snow in this area here, and then we'll start extending out here. And then we could see before the main show really gets going, I mean, we could be talking 3, 4, 5, 6 hours really across this whole area here, even back into New York and PA here, of light to moderate snow ongoing, and not great lift in the dendritic growth zone, but well saturated. So you will be able to accumulate flakes some. I think we'd be talking 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch per hour rates during this time potentially. Again, nothing major, but we're going to continue to see light to moderate snow during this time. And then before the main show comes on in, yes, I promise we're going to get to, but we have a major storm coming tomorrow. I know it's not going to be all snow for many, but this is going to be a significant event here, and it's going to be a major snowstorm here for the interior Northeast, and it's going to be it's going to be a low end snowstorm also for a lot of people in southern New England, central New England, into Hudson Valley, and maybe even some places into the southern Northeast. So we have to get through. We have to bang out and talk about what's going on here before. I know a blip is always more exciting, but that's still a little bit of ways out. And yes, we're going to go all into that. I promise you all, we are going to go all into that, break that all down. Keep throwing all your questions. We're going to answer it all. Have those ready to go. We're going to break it down. So again, with this comes on through. Again, dynamic piece of upper level energy. The problem is, take a look here, ridging. Very strong Atlantic ridge, even though I thought we would maybe press on this a little bit more, but models adjust some, right? You saw models adjust some. So, I was onto it a little bit at least. And we will, and we weren't able to get maybe quite as much. I thought that we'd be able to shift this a little bit further southeast, not crazy, but a little bit more. But we have seen those adjustments over the past couple of days for sure. Like I was, hinting towards, and we've seen those, which is a positive from our snow, overrunning snow. And what we're going to get here, again, over the TPV presses against this, so it really prevents this from being able to just full on cut. And also the high pressure to the north, as you see, with our negative NAO still present, right? 50-50 low setup, but tons of Atlantic ridge building in here, and hopefully that's a precursor for what happens next week. If that's the case, we're going to be in business. But what we have going on here is we have overrunning precip that gets out ahead here. So precipitation in the form of snow, likely for most. New York City northward, and maybe around the area in the metro, possibly northward as well. The overrunning precip gets out ahead here of the main upper level energy. Gets out ahead. And then as this comes through, that's when you transition to sleet, freezing rain. And yes, it's perfectly okay to be in your defense. No worries. That was not, hopefully that didn't sound defensive. We just have to lay the groundwork. I know you and Matt do I enjoy chatting with Matt? Matt is one of a kind. Mark, one of a kind. Okay, so again, we have this upper level energy that comes on moving through, and this is when we start switching over to mixed freezing rain. You can see the upper level energy comes right on top of us. Question is though, and I have a lot of people that live here in the interior Northeast. I'll just show you the pre-type. I don't really care about the specifics. I just want to, again, what you can see here is, multiple low pressures. The question is, do we form a low pressure that forms, over southern New England or off or around the coast on the transfer? You can see dynamic dynamic low pressure system. This is going to be strong winds too, especially on the backside of the system. But take a look at just like a Canadian, for example. Take a look at that. You can see the transfer happens sooner here, and look where it happens. The low pressure then gets going off the southern New England coast versus inland, and that is a big difference. Oh, don't worry about Twisted's a troll. Don't worry about him, WB Groove. He knows that too. He's a good troll. Don't worry. And this would be the difference then between interior Northeast getting front end fleet in an all-out snowstorm here from Montreal, Champlain Valley, St. Lawrence River Valley into Tug Hill and across central and northern Maine as well. So this would make a huge difference in how this plays out tomorrow. We're going to have to watch out. With such a dynamic system, I'm going to take a little bit of an in-between here on some of these further southeast solutions like RGEM versus a GFS Euro, which are a little bit more amplified and have it a little bit further inland, as you can see. So that's the key difference that I'm going to watch for tomorrow's system. And as this gets going here, and I'll show you I'll show you the RGM here. Look what happens. See all this. See how it almost looks displaced here. Look at this precip. It almost looks displaced. You see that how it gets out of front in the main, and that's because it's overrunning precip that gets out ahead, connected, but not directly here from the upper level energy. That's still way back here. And so this overrunning precip gets out ahead, and this is what allows, again, weak ascent. It's weak forcing, I should say, rather. And that's how this is going to be driven, more saturated and not a ton of forcing. And then as that sleet line, you're going to have to smell the sleet to get heaviest snow here. And watch what happens here. That 700 banding, look at that. That comes together. Anytime I see that look on 7, I start seeing these 40, 50 height dams here, just indicating how strong these banding, the 700 vorticity is here, 700 millibar. Anytime I start seeing these 40, 50 height dams, this is when I start getting intrigued about the potential for then heavy snow to start developing right to the north of these heavier bands here. And that is then when right after then you'll switch to sleet. That is how you transition here. And so I'm going to listen. It's been complicated. We've seen it. Models kind of overestimate, how well some of these more dynamic systems come together this winter. And so I'm going to take a little bit in terms of, when you have a transfer in place and, messy over like these overrunning, these mix, these front end thumps, like, just some of these past ones. I will say next week is different. It's a disruption in the flow. It's not quite the same. So not every rule that we've taken so far from this past winter is going to apply to next week. And we'll talk about that more, not next week, obviously, but right after this. And so what happens here is we get this over precip, and then it's followed by probably a heavy band, if I had to guess, and switch to sleet, and then freezing rain. Question is then, there is some significant icing potential here for a lot of people. RGM tend to do okay with the P-type. I do give it some credit for that. And you can see, and obviously, this would be some very concerning ice threat tomorrow, late tomorrow night into late tomorrow night into early morning here. And you can see here, this is then that area, that corridor we start looking at for freezing rain potential, and this will extend further north as well. And really, this whole area here is definitely going to be concerned for sleet and freezing rain. I would favor more sleet in central New England, but further to the south here, where that warm nose is really going to creep, there's definitely a threat for a 1/10 to a 1/4 of an inch of ice accretion, sure, really along this whole area here. And I'd be a little bit further south, and I'd be concerned with that for sure. We're not even talking about next week yet, Joseph. We're talking about this weekend right now. I have not even we haven't even talked about. I haven't even shown any model runs yet for next week. So yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. But snow totals right now. Here's what I kind of think: 1 to 3, New York City Metro northward. About 3 to 6ish, 2 to 5, 3 to 6ish, basically from far southern New England, Hudson Valley, to I'd say far North Jersey here, and then I think we have about 4 to 8 potential here across, really even into Boston here, really into Boston. I'll say maybe some of Southeast Mass. I'll include Norfolk here, Norfolk and Suffolk. Really, a lot of this area here, I think, then will be 4 to 8 potential, and then we're talking more 6 to 12 potential, likely north of once we start getting into central New England. That's kind of where I'll lean right now. I will have a snow map out for this, and then again, probably more sleet than freezing rain. I would go with in central New England for now, and then double-digit snowfall is likely, in my opinion, across around these areas here. This is where we could be talking as much as 10 to 18 inches of snow, possibly, here in northern New England, in the interior Northeast. So this is where I think the best shot for double-digit snowfall is likely as of right now. So this is kind of where I'll lean for now. In terms of snowfall, in terms of thoughts for snowfall next week, or not next week. Sorry, this tomorrow. It's overrunning precip again. That's the key here, and I'll show you some soundings. Let's pull up some soundings here. Where do you think the snow versus sleet line makes it to? What do you mean, Ron Paul? Or sorry, what's your? I think it's Mike. Sorry, your username shows up. So, clarify more. Oh, Brattleboro. Oh, you mean like how far does? Oh, okay, snow versus sleet. I mean, you could mix in some sleet up here, but I think north of here is very likely going to stay all snow, or at least mostly snow. Probably in here. Once we start getting towards Burlington, once we start getting towards about Burlington, I think that's where we stay all snow. Probably somewhere just south of Burlington is going to stay mostly snow, in my opinion here. Probably something like that, roughly. And you can't rule out the warm nose being able to push north, and then it would be really only the far staying all snow. So I'm not going to rule out, but that's what I'm going to go with for now in terms of likely. Yes, you will switch over to rain likely for many at some point. You will switch over to rain at some point for many. Probably a lot of you switch to rain south of here. You're going to switch over to rain. And you'll probably get into the upper 30s, low 40s. Here you won't get up 30s in Mass, but towards New York City, around again south of New England, that's when we might be able to get into the 40s. So snow melt is possible tomorrow as well. Sunday, sorry, not tomorrow. I think that's a little overamped in my opinion, but that's the NAM for you. Exactly what the NAM is going to do. But really, I care more about these soundings out in front here. And this is what's intriguing. Right before, this is what I'm talking about. Some of that banding right before. Look at this. Saturation, not a problem here. Dew point depression, probably less than a degree or two Celsius here at the top of the dendritic growth zone, and we're completely saturated from the middle of the dendritic growth zone down to the surface, or towards the bottom, around the middle to the bottom of the dendritic growth zone down. Again, just above 500, so we're not going to be insane ratios, so to say, but we are going to be a good lift here present towards uh, once some of that better banding starts working through here. As you can see, the warm nose creeps, but under heavy rates, you stay all snow. Theoretically, can't rule out thunder snow as well. Can't rule it out. Take another sounding. Again, that is a very impressive sounding there. Take a look at this. Wow. Look at the omega in the dendritic growth zone. Look how well saturated we are. Warm nose backing off a little bit more even here. I mean, that's a very solid sounding here. We'll take some more, and I'll show you some of the overrunnings before that. You know, some of that heavy banding makes it through. We'll take one here more by Boston, and doesn't like you here, Boston, unfortunately. Let's see, Mass one. You can see there, not amazing specifically in the dendritic growth zone. You can see here, but well saturated again. Actually, maybe borderline sleet. If you're good under good lift, you'll be able to. So this is also again maybe one of those periods here right before the mixing line tomorrow night comes in. If you're under a non-heavy band, you could switch over to sleet too periodically. But look what the CAD does out ahead. So our cold air damming here, along with our heavy rates. Look at the orientation here. So this is why some places here are still going to be able to hold on to just as much snow as places to the west as well. So it's not going to be one of those things where the air comes in off the ocean and you go you go poo poo. That doesn't happen until a lot later, where you switch to rain. But out ahead here, going to get some good rates. New York City will show you an example here. No, doesn't like you. Sorry, New York City. Unfortunately. Next one. We'll try again. Okay, it likes you now. See, look at this here. This is actually a pretty good sound. It's specifically in the dendritic growth zone, not a ton of lift, but look here. You're pretty well saturated. Dew point depression, less than a degree or two here, New York City. 33 at the surface. Again, you're all the way throughout the column here. You're below here. Maybe not amazing ratios, but this is a good moderate snow sound here for New York City here out ahead. Initial, and you're still not transitioning to sleet here or rain, or either one for another few hours. So your timing tomorrow is really from probably around 12-ish to 7-ish, probably New York City, your opportunity, 12-ish to 8-ish maybe, roughly. Take a look at, for example, an RGM, for example. Again, that same idea, probably. That's probably your time frame tomorrow in New York City, somewhere around that time frame. You'll probably have about 6 to 9 hours of snow tomorrow. And that's why you're going to be able to accumulate some in New York City into southern New England. And that's the thing. It's going to be a longer duration front end thump. It's an in and out, quick, heavy burst, and that's it. I mean, you take a look here. This is, for example, southern New England. This is, 5 p.m. to almost 6 a.m., 7. And look how long it takes for that sleet line to creep. I mean, this could be like 10 to 12 plus hours at a minimum of snow, and it just adds up over time. Especially, you're going to have some heavy rates come in. It's going to be an opportunity. How come? Because it's not going to be a heavy snow out ahead, like I talked about here. I'll show you some more soundings here, and I'll show you why. Because it's not going to be heavy snow. But this is why, again, small snowfall outputs are not always necessarily the best things. And this is why. Notice, not a ton of lift here in the dendritic growth zone, but what we are is we're pretty well saturated. We're pretty well saturated here, not amazingly, but we're pretty well saturated. So you're going to be snowing, just not a ton of lift, probably not the big fat fluffy dendrites is what you're going to be seeing. And you're not going to have amazing ratios too because of the warm nose. Again, look where you're here is your dendritic growth zone, not super low in the atmosphere, and with the warm nose present, it's not going to be great ratios. It's not necessarily going to be like a super wet snow initially, but it is going to be a denser snow still. and it's going to struggle to accumulate at a very high level. So you could, snow at, you know, a third of an inch per hour for 6 hours, and that's how you pick up 2 inches, or just on average. So you're not going to see necessarily very heavy snowfall rates until maybe the very end. Probably not, in my opinion. And that's going to allow you probably to transition maybe an hour or two earlier, if I had to guess. I'm in New York City, then maybe some models would pick up on. But here's the difference further north. 700 banding starts coming together, and look at here. Actually, don't look at there. That's not a good sounding. That probably might be sleet. And then look at what I'm talking about right here. Strong lift, well saturated. This is where you battle with the dynamic cooling here, bring down that colder air from in the upper levels, and you stay heavier snow. That's what you're able to do then. It's Valentine's Day. We're all set. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah, there's another one up here into southern New Hampshire. Again, you can see not as well saturated actually further to the north here, but still well enough, to still be snowing, and some weak to moderate lift present in the dendritic growth zone. So again, light to moderate snow. So it's not a heavy snow, but it's the duration of time, and then when that works through, that's when it's going to allow. That's when you'll be your heaviest rates, and you'll be able to accumulate. And then further to the north here, can we get a non? I mean, the NAM freaking takes this thing into Canada. Let's see. Get the HR to show us. All right. I like that idea better, a little bit at least. See there? Solid sounding. Again, interior New York. Thumping. Get here by the Champlain Vat is why you're going to make out pretty well up there. Take a look at it. Completely saturated from near the top to the bottom of the atmosphere. A little bit of dew point depression right there, but take a look at it. I mean, great lift throughout the dendritic growth zone, throughout the column, well saturated from the top of the atmosphere down. Clearly all snow. This is why you're going to accumulate, and will be 1 to 3 inch per hour rates likely up in northern New England. So, I mean, those are some really great soundings you can see up into Maine as well. Amazing. Those are great ratios too. Are you kidding me? I mean, no, not too many people live up here, but that's a very solid heavy snow sounding. Huh? Usually fast forward through this part. Well, I apologize. Hey man, you're watching me. I can't tell your satire right there, but what about North Long Island, New London, Connecticut? 2 to 5-ish, probably, at least, I would say, is what I would go with for now in that area. Say about 2 to 5-ish, South Shore, Connecticut. That's where I would lean. Further east, better. Better here. Further north and east, better. That's fine. Yes. I figured it was satire, so I was like, huh? You just went out there. I mean, I do have long live streams, so I would not be offended. That's why I put the chapters in for you guys after those that rewatch them. But again, further north and east, this is the period, again, because this is where you get that overrunning precip out ahead. This is your opportunity, to cash in. Again, we went through it out earlier. You can rewind it if you need to for exact snow totals. I kind of drew it out earlier, and I don't remember exactly where I drew it, and I'm afraid I might not show the exact idea. But it was New York City Metro, kind of 1 to 3-ish, or around there. And then 2 to 5, kind of a little bit further north, 3 to 6, and then like kind of like that general, and then like a 6 to 12, I think I drew, and then like a 10 to 18 or something like north of here. I don't know, something like that. That was the rough idea for snowfall totals from this. It's a major snowstorm, no doubt about it. Significant, right? This is the disruption, East Asia. We talked about that teleconnection there. It's the disruption, the flow. And here's the thing, man. I mean, this band, when it comes through, it is gonna rip. It is gonna absolutely rip here. Take a look here. Lower. It's gonna give me. I mean, take a look. Here's your FGen 700 FGen band starts coming together, and it is gonna rip in this area. It is gonna look how it comes together there in northern New England. Absolutely gonna rip up there across New York, northern New England. So for my people up there, you're gonna get walloped. Even if you do mix the sleet, not before you get a significant dumping of snow ahead of time. So don't worry too much out there. You're gonna get it pretty good. See FV3 showing that too. Just look at all that overrunning precip. Look at all that overrunning precip out ahead of time as it's coming in here. Again, super well saturated. Not a ton of lift shown here, but well saturated. And that's an important. That's the difference we've had in previous compared to previous systems here. And I think that's going to allow us to actually accumulate fine, even though amazingly accumulate well enough to kind of stack things up here. Where this is one where some of these snowfall maps might actually excel, not having to account for lift in saturation in the growth zone because you are saturated and there's not a ton of lift, which sometimes can skew some of those numbers. So this might be where some of those snowfall maps may not do too bad here in some of the in a scenario like this. I use caution with you guys trying to relay my thoughts all the times with those snowfall maps, but this might be one where they actually are not necessarily kind of for the wrong reasons. So yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts. What questions do we have? What questions do we have? You guys want to answer questions about snow totals for tomorrow? I know a lot of you guys like to do that. Yes, the OZ Euro is probably running or about to run, and we can look at that. What about jet determines lift ratio? I know they're calling it a storm jet. I'm not sure if you're referring to that or upper level jet. Are you talking about 250? The 250 jet here. Upper dynamics, 250 wind. It's going to be very strong upper level dynamics in place here ahead of time. Let's see, like looking at that right entrance region a lot of times there on the jet streak, and yeah. It's pretty obvious. Dry here in that whole area. That's obviously the most favored area tomorrow. Lines up even on the NAM, which is pretty overamplified. It's a really synoptically upper level setup. Is very impressive. The wind is going to be on the backside too. There might be some power outage concerns. We could be talking 30, 40, 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts on the backside. So there definitely be some power outage concerns with this as well. Let me see. GFS 250. Yeah. It's gonna you can see it. I mean, very strong. We're talking damn near 200 knots, essentially at 250. So it's going to be ripping. It does not necessarily determine the ratio, though, if that's your question. Ratios is more associated by the cold air throughout the column. So it brings up a good question, whether or not you were trying to specifically ask for it. It doesn't really matter. I don't care about the specifics of the sounding here. Just want to show you the diagram. The red line is temperature for those that were confused from the soundings. The green line is your dew point. You want to see your green. If you want to see good snow, you want your red and your green line to be as close to touching together as possible. And typically your temperature growth zone is going to start typically around top of the dendritic growth zone is going to be about minus 20 degrees Celsius. So there's minus 20 and minus 10. So you draw it then to about minus 10. In the middle of your dendritic growth zone is going to be minus 12 to minus 18. So you can kind of draw that up here. So probably about here, there's the middle of your dendritic growth zone, the most important part, obviously, but you want to be well saturated from the top to the bottom. Obviously, you can see in this sounding, you do happen to be. I don't really, there's not a lot of lift in this specific sounding. Not that the GFS 6-hour interval sounding is that important, but here, then we start looking at, okay, how much lift is present in the dendritic growth zone, specifically the dendritic growth zone. It's not as important around the dendritic growth zone. It does matter some, but it's not as important. Then we start looking specifically, okay, in this area here, let me look from top to bottom, how much lift is there in this area here? And that's when we start, that's what I'll look at next. And then we're going to look at, all right, where does that minus 20 to minus 10 happen? If that minus 20, if the red line, the temperature line crosses the minus 20 line further south, around here, so to say around 600 millibars, down to about 700 or this is about 850, then we'd be talking about very, very good ratios cold. If you're well saturated in your dendritic growth zone at the top of it, typically if it starts below 500 millibars, typically your average dendritic growth zone is around 500 to 600 millibars on average. That's just kind of a thing you see over time you get some feel with, but 500 to 600 millibars is somewhere around there. So typically somewhere around here to here is your typical average for the dendritic growth zone, so to say, just above to just below, from just above 500, just below 600. And then that's where we start looking then, to see, if it's a little bit lower than that, then we're looking at a good chance for, for good ratios. Another thing too is how prolific is the warm nose. If the warm nose is prolific for a while present, that will limit ratios. If it's a quick warm nose and it's not there for a while, then that's going to help support better ratios for snow growth, allow snow to accumulate better, a little bit more fluffier. So in my opinion, temperature at the surface is not super relevant, in my opinion. When I do ratios, I do not focus too much on the temperature at the surface. It matters, but it does not matter as much as you think. I know some of you see those charts that say, this degree temperature is this typical ratio. But that is not how it works. Saturation, lift, and exactly your placement of the dendritic growth zone, where exactly the temperature in the column above the surface, all those things come into place and are super important when you're breaking down sounding. So like I said, once we calm down here, we are going to do we had enough requests. We're going to do a full live stream at some point on what is the dendritic growth zone, how to break it down. We're going to go in depth. We're going to bring up certain storm examples from historic storms. Hopefully we can get one next week and we can use maybe some of those. And that would be perfect, obviously. We're going to talk about that next, so don't worry. So throw in your last questions here. Then we're also going to transition to next week. So let's gear up for that. But so whatever questions you got for snow totals tomorrow, whatever, what do you want to know, ice concerns, whatever, flight, travel issues, let me know right now. But we are going to do at some point when we quiet down a breakdown of the dendritic growth zone, and I'll try to find some past soundings here in the archive of my photo albums and through Google as well, and we'll do a whole breakdown of some of the big snowstorms of recent memory, and what some of those soundings did look like in terms of what's good for heavy snow, and then maybe show some examples of what went wrong in some of these. So we will be doing that at some point, so keep an eye on that. We did have plenty of requests for that, which was awesome. But yeah, so that's kind of an idea when you look at the dendritic growth zone. So hopefully that provides some good, helpful perspective for those curious about soundings. And a lot of people get confused, but I'm telling you, once you get the hang, snow soundings are much easier than severe weather soundings, in my opinion. Once you get the hang of it, it's very easy. Once you get the hang of it for severe weather too, it's a little bit. I'm not as much as an expert at severe weather as I am winter weather, and I'm not even an expert at winter weather. I just try to study the stuff hard. I'm the person who sets the pick and rolls on the team. I have to work extra hard for a lack of talent. So I just try to study the stuff very hard. I don't believe anybody's really gifted or anything at this stuff. I just have a key for trying to work hard and try to pinpoint the stuff I just kind of love doing this too. I'm pretty passionate about this, so it's pretty easy for me to just kind of want to do this because I'm genuinely curious about how this stuff plays out. And for me, it's about like it's like a great for me. The weather is like a great murder mystery novel, like or a great murder mystery show. Think of your favorite mystery show or like show that has a bunch of plot twists and you're trying to get to the bottom of it. For me, that is what this is like constantly because you're never going to be perfectly right. And when it comes to this, I am so passionate about trying to do what I can to see, can I figure this out? Even though I know I'm not going to ever do it perfectly, I want to see, can I do that? How well can I do it repeatedly? It's very important for me to do that. Um, and so I will go into great depths. I do a lot of research on my own as well about this, trying to add as much as I can as much as I can to this. So yeah, Luke Cornett. No, I'm more than Draymond Green. More of a Draymond without the talking. I don't talk like that on X. I don't know. You can maybe think of some comparisons for that. Start comparing, WX Twitter figures to NBA people. Who's Kevin Durant, who's Steph Curry, who's Zion, who's Tatum, who's all these Jokic. Yeah, I try to be like Jokic. Jokic isn't super talented, but he's mentally very sharp and works hard at the game. So that would be an ideal future comparison, I guess, in terms of an NBA player and the kicking too. Yeah, I don't do too much kicking. Draymond Green is watch. I know it's off topic, but I respect his game. Yeah, I know a lot of people don't like him, but very very intelligent, very gifted defender. But that's a side point. I know none of you care about. None of you care. All right, we don't need to make enemies here. I love that. So it's so I could break down basketball, but Bernie is Steph. All right, let's get to next week now. I wish I had my water, man. I wish I had it. Let me answer. Someone said, feeling that SPC will issue a marginal risk for T-storms on Sunday. Tim, you said that. Yes. I already saw a thunderstorm risk already up the coast, so certainly possible. And that's why I said TSN, thunder snow, cannot be ruled out. Manchester, New Hampshire, I feel like it's in a good spot. Yes, Bobby, I think Manchester should be able to make out 5 to 10. Manchester, that's kind of what I would go with right now. Good man, no worries. Yes, we're raging together. Indeed. Gusty thunderstorms. Yes, it's going to be gusty. Again, we talked about that 30, 40, 50 plus mile per hour wind gusts. Certainly possible. You comment. We'll try to take a look at that. We got Jimmy, but you're a Golden State fan, Chef Curry. I should have figured that one out. Yay. Yes. Yay. We're gonna break this down now. So whatever questions you got, I'll still try to answer them for tomorrow's storm. Whatever you got left over. Appreciate everybody here on the X. If you're in the YouTube, if you don't mind hitting the like, it's greatly appreciated. And all of the support is very helpful here as we try to break this stuff down. So it is very much so active times right now, and we're growing here. Look for more live streams again with Gerald at some point. Gerald's been great, and look for more of those at some point down the line here, maybe this weekend or next week. So look for more of those. Listen, I'm sorry. Before we transition here, we're gonna break down the storm for next week. We're gonna break it all down in depth here, like every avenue. But before I do that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support and how much we've grown here over the past few months this winter here on YouTube. And I appreciate everybody on X for the consistent support you guys continue to show there, and how many good interactions. We have so many more positive interactions than negative on X. It's not even close, and I designed it that way so that I prevent myself from being constant debates and all that stuff. Try to keep it as strictly analysis as possible. A couple memes mixed in there every once in a while, but I want to thank you guys so much for the support that you show. I really love this, down to the core of this stuff. That is SHIT, so I don't get YouTube likes to take it away when you cuss, but I just really can't thank you guys. And so just know it's greatly appreciated, and I'll love you guys show. Um, it's awesome. Not you, but not you, Twisted. I'm done with you. It's over. No snow for you coming up here. So all right, let's break this down. Let's break this down. They're my unneeded. So yeah, so that's why I just thank you guys for hitting the like when you do that. So and new subscribers, awesome. Thank you. So here's what we got going on here. Here's what we're cooking. So here's what happens. This is the storm for next week. I use the GFS. So for those that sometimes like to say I use the model that actually really nobody says. I use the model that I like the most. Nobody really ever says that. So, but if you do, just know that I yes, wow, yeah, you're screwed, Twisted. I'm sorry. No, thank you, Timothy. Appreciate you coming in here and chat and interacting. Appreciate all you guys that do that. But just break down the storm lizard boy. All right, you realize how easy it is for me to hide user. So when I click on your name, it says, go to channel, add moderator, put user in timeout, or hide user on the channel. So I have so many options, Twisted. So thank you for reminding me. But here's the storm. Here's our weekend storm. As you can see, amplifies here. Here's your TPV on the backside. Here's a storm that comes in. So actually, let's do this. Here's what I said I was going to do first. COD satellite. Here's what we're going to show you. We're going to show you where our storm is, our next week's storm. No, yes. So easy. Chat, ban them. Okay, so. Okay, let me go to the mesoscale sectors. Freaking global sectors. Freaking. All right, I really liked this one. Which was it? This? No, it was. Gorgeous. This one, freaking. Well, that one's pretty cool too, actually. Which one do you guys like most? That one's pretty cool, actually, too. We're gonna use this one. I think that's pretty cool. Here's our weekend storm, current storm. Look at this thing. You can start to see the comma head developing here. I'll zoom in one. Can I? Something tells me I think we're gonna get a Euro bomb here. So we're gonna look at the Euro in a second. I think we may get a Euro bomb. That's what my gut tells me. I haven't looked in it yet, but I think we're gonna get. Oh, I just got a text just as I said that. I have like psychic abilities. That's unbelievable. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. I was like, I think we're gonna get a Euro bomb, and we're gonna show that. We're gonna look at the Euro in a second. I think. I haven't. Yeah, obviously you guys can see I've not looked at the Euro yet. My gut says we're gonna get a Euro bomb here, and anytime my texts get blown up, that's another sign. All right, let me zoom in. Zoom in. You can do it. You can do it. Zoom in. Ah, there we go. All right, so here's our current storm. Look at the comma head. We know you're running these models. Yes. I'm not going to say it. I was going to say I did the drones. I don't need to start everything. I'm not running the drone operation either. I'm running the models and the drones. I'm running everything. But here's our comma head. So here's our comma head here for this storm. Take a look. So that's our current storm. Look at this thing starting to take off here. I'm actually going to take it. And I'm actually going to do some. I'm going to take advantage of people seeing the Euro and say, I'm going to take advantage of it. So here's the loop right now. So just take a look. So here's the loop. Yes, we're going to look at the Euro, I promise. So take a look. There is our current storm going on right now. There is our current storm that's going to happen. The front end thump and heavy snowstorm for central and northern New England tomorrow. And so, and then what you can see is, I mean, you can see what stands out here. This is next week's storm. What an absolute gorgeous beaut. This has turned in. And then look at the end of the screen too. I'm telling you here, you see this just off the coast of East Asia. I think there's going to be an opportunity for another system, at least a chance, 2 weeks down the line here. So maybe not next week, but the week after, about 10 days out or so. Did I not call it? Did I not call it? Can you give me the credit there, ladies and gentlemen? Give me the freaking credit there. I said I could feel it. I could feel the energy here. I mean, you guys can see me. I don't have anything. I don't have anything to look at here. Send me your number so I can show you. Phone up with the euro. But yeah, so here's obviously, you can see why there's a potential. Look at this. Such a dynamic. Look at this. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh. Someone mentioned saturation from Valentine's Day. If you got the joke, you didn't, went over. That's same kind of vibe. If you know, you know. Sorry, we don't need to get that dirty on here, but gorgeous, absolute gorgeous look. And you can even see the low inside of there. Absolutely gorgeous freaking look right there, as you can see. Yes, sea break path. We're going to look at it. And that's an absolutely gorgeous look for a potential storm there. I mean, you can see it, and what's going to happen here is this is going to drop in behind eventually, and this upper level energy gets dropped in. And so, yes, Kevin Pavone, gorgeous. I mean, look at it. I mean, it stands out. When you look at the screen, the first thing your eyes go to clearly is what's going on here. Absolute gorgeous freaking look here. And so that is what's coming on. That's what's coming our way next week. And I will say a lot of people have PTSD. We have not had this ensembles. I'm not 100% sold yet. I'm not 100% sold yet, but we have not had this good agreement. We have not been for models in this range all winter long for a snowstorm, for a potential big snowstorm. Had it all freaking winter long. So that is a very good positive we have. At the same time, though, it's a very low floor, high ceiling setup. And we're going to talk about why. So here's what happens. Here's the confluence from the previous storm. I'll try to zoom in one. I know you guys like it zoomed in a little bit. The confluence from the previous storm, look what happens. This whole lobe gets extended here, and you have this edge here, this TPV lobe at the end. And what happens here, so cold air is in place. Huge freaking, as you know, Bernie likes to say, injection of cold air, but massive, copious, whatever you want to call it, a significant amount of cold air in place ahead of time. That is not going to be the freaking concern. What happens here, look, so this is our storm we talked about, right? Look at this. It gets dumped here into the western U.S., and it gets shunted. So it gets suppressed across the region. No early amplification this time versus last week, or this weekend. Sorry, tomorrow's storm. Today, whatever the frick you want to call it. Sorry. But here, as we transition, then look what happens. This is when things start getting interesting here. Because what we're going to do here, sorry, I got to zoom a little bit. There we go. This is what happens here. So now that storm works as our southern branch of energy, like here. See that? That's our big cyclone right now. We just looked at in the right out here, right? Absolutely gorgeous look. Gorgeous look. And that was, again, associated with that disruption by Japan. We were talking about this East Asia disruption in the flow. We've been getting an array of storms lately that have came through is what we're going to talk about. Same exit latitude region, our connection here, when typically you look at Japan, North Japan, East Asia, this is what happens. You get where exit latitude region, we have to have looking, this is when the antennas have to go up for potential major snowstorm opportunities. When you get big storms to happen out in that region as well. And that's what we're seeing. We talked about that 15th to 20th, 15th to 25th time frame, right? Remember we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And that was, absolutely, a fraternity ago, it feels like. But remember, we've been talking about this now for probably at least over a week now. That time frame, this time frame here, it's 15th to 20th to 25th even time frame here. And then look what happens. So this rotates around the tail end of the confluence place, and you have high pressure to the north here, which is a good thing here. I'm not sure why. Some people think having the high pressure is a bad thing. The high pressure is the only reason why this is not going to be a cutter. The solid negative NAO we have in place here. That's the reason this thing is not freaking amplifying all the way early on. Because what happens here is, look at the setup at 500. Look at the setup, and I'll use the Canadian for example. We're gonna look at the euro. I know you're all, onto the euro already, but moderate yourselves, people. Moderate yourselves. Take a sip of water. Take a deep breath. Think about a time when it all went wrong and find the middle. Find the middle ground. Sorry to give you some deep thought. Think about January 6th for January 11th. Think about that January 6th. Or think about January 7th when the Euro run did not show a snowstorm anymore for January 11th. And now there you go. Now I just allowed you all to to meet in the middle ground. Sorry for that, but I had to bring you back down to earth. That's what my job is here. Here's the difference: the Atlantic ridging. We talked about some January 11th on last night. That's the main difference here is the build back in of the Atlantic ridging. 50-50 low setup with stream separation. That's the huge key here, is with stream separation. Now, if there's less stream separation, this is going to be a little bit more progressive. And what happens here is in my opinion, it's going to be very hard for this to be a big snowstorm for somewhere and not for many people. And I'll explain why. With these setups here, with the TPV, what happens is it either gets pulled in or it gets shunted. And so what happens here is, and we're going to use the GFS as an example here. This is what we're going to show here. Big lobe of the TPV starts amplifying. Oh, that sounded like Trump. Sorry. It was massive big lobe, massive lobe. What a lobe, a tremendous. Start going off here. And, so I'm on the debate stage all of a sudden. Sorry, I try not to do politics. It's funny. But yeah, tremendous lobe, obviously. And so either this gets pulled in here or it gets shunted off. And that's we show the example. So Canadian freaking wraps this thing in all the way. Using freaking Alonso, whatever. We're not cussing tonight. We're not going to do it. We don't need YouTube to start doing that. Look at the difference. It's a minor difference. Look, see that minor difference? Very minor difference. The energy, everything in this pretty similar place. It's just a matter of stream interaction and placement and timing. It's all very specific pieces of a setup. The storm's coming, right? That's not a concern. We're not talking about whether or not the storm's coming. The question at this point, does it happen offshore or does it happen onshore? That's really the only question at this point. It either gets delayed. This whole thing, this works actually push this off, and then stream interaction gets delayed and amplify offshore, and it becomes like a freaking Newfoundland blizzard or whatever. And then, or you wrap it in. I'm telling you, you're unlikely to wrap this. It is so highly unlikely that you wrap this in and then just gets pulled off. It wraps in and then gets brought out eventually. When you wrap it in, that's when it gains latitude and gets pulled out. So that's what in my opinion, those are the very most two high likely solutions on the table. I don't really see much other, in my opinion. Those are by far the most two likely solutions, and that's what I'm gonna promote this. I don't want to say promote, but that's what I'm gonna alerting you guys to as of the potential here. Again, a little bit of a progressive flow still in terms of the orientation of the trough, but it's such a dynamic upper level energy, and you get wrapped in so soon here. Again, once it gets wrapped into the flow, this thing just takes off and amplifies. So that either happens or it gets shunted offshore and then amplifies. Those are the two likely solutions, by far most likely solutions. But again, remember, your Atlantic ridging here is the key. That is your key here. What does this do? It prevents out ahead. It prevents convection from being shunted and suppressed southeast. It makes it easier to be wrapped into the flow. So it's a slower flow that allows it to get wrapped into the upper level, the TPV, that upper level energy right here. So this convection off eventually your southern branch, instead of being shunted and quicker and fast, it's more separated. and this shunts it instead, your opportunity here is what instead happens is Atlantic ridging works to prevent that from happening and make it easier for this to get wrapped into the flow and you see a full face. That's what we're talking about here. So that's the setup. We're not talking about we have there are synoptically. You saw my tweet out earlier, my post I put out earlier. Synoptically, this is by far the biggest potential for an all-out historic snowstorm we had all winter long. I'm perfectly comfortable saying that. It's very much has historic snowstorm potential. 100%. Very easily has potential to be a top 10 all-time snowfall for for your closest city from really, I would say, DC might be a little bit too west. It doesn't mean you don't get hammered possibly, but actually maybe even. I mean, from really, I think from DC to Portland, I think this has the potential to be one of your top 10 snowfalls of all time. Potential. But I'm not fully bought in yet. I need to see more consistency and agreement. I saw the agreement last night. That's when we saw the agreement. It's been since we've seen that. I need to see more time. I'm sorry. I'm not going to go all full in. I don't need to. There's no reason for me to go all in right now. There's just no. All right, I'm over this thing. It's weaking out to see. And I don't need to go all in right now. There's no reason for me to. But to highlight the potential, it's very much there. This is classic. This is in terms of in fact. I can't remember the last time we've had this good of a potential for the Mid-Atlantic to New England to have this potential of a snowstorm. Is this at all similar to 2022? No. I guess at all, very dynamic, deep trough, but it's not the same setup. I'll pull up 2022 actually. It's a good point. Before we bring on, and then we'll look at the Euro run. Actually, we'll look at why. Here's what we're going to do here next. We're going to bring up. I'm going to show you Blizzard 2022 because Kevin had a good question. WV Guru, yes, please be correct. Obviously, yes. We'll look at the Euro. We'll look. I promise we're about to do here. We're going to look at compare still Blizzard 2022 because we had some questions. Off the top of my head, no, this is not a similar setup. My memory. And then we're going to look at what are all the factors here suggesting that this could be a historic snowstorm. I legitimately think there's potential for this to be one of your, from DC to Portland, one of your top 10 snowfalls of all time. Has the potential to. I am very comfortable saying that, but not on board yet, fully on board. We need to we need to get past. We need to get through tomorrow's storm first, and then we can start talking about. Then we can start there. Okay. Let me show you that. So here's a reminder here. I'll show you my YouTube. For those of you who are on YouTube, you know that. Again, reminder, I do video analyses. I have broken down the blizzard of 2015 for those curious. I've broken down the blizzard of 2021, excuse me, and then the blizzard of 2022. So I'll show that here. Oh, sound doesn't work anyway. So that's the 500 millibar setup here. Let me bring it. I guess one similarity is break down the blizzard of 2025. That's what I'm doing right now, Twisted. Ugh, people. Sometimes you just want to ban them, don't you? I just, but here's an idea of the 500 millibar setup. So it's a little. Here we go. You see that there? See, there's definitely a solid difference. It's it's here we're having the TPV lobe. Everything's kind of happened a little bit higher, in my opinion, and also there are some similarities though. But as you can see here, polar vortex lobe to the north here. Orientation of the western ridge here a little bit different. The dig here on this storm a little bit different as well. I would love to see a 500 millibar height chart, but yeah, as you can see, there's some pretty notable differences. So it's not quite the same setup as 2015, or sorry, 2025. Jeez, am I already calling it? Jeez, manifesting it, I guess, as this storm right here. So that's the blizzard of 2022. And so yes, if you are curious about that, that storm dropped good band of 20 to 30 inches, and really about 15 to 30 inches from New Jersey to Maine. So and as you can see here, some similarities a little bit. The initial positive, the progressive initial progressive flow, but completely different here orientation with the polar vortex here to the north and in the orientable energy. So not quite the same. Bro's reanalyzing his reanalysis. Yes, Twisted. And you're watching it. That's the funny part. You're the sucker. But yes. Okay, so here's what we have going for us, as I promised. That's how I said I was going to break it down. Oh, yes, Ike. Twisted is very funny. Not. So here's what we got going for us here. The positives. West base negative NAO is always a good thing to have. That's never a bad thing to have. And it's not super low pressing. Now, here's one thing where we could go wrong. If this starts pressing too much, this is going to delay amplification. If this starts, so that's one thing to watch. If this presses too much, and that's what the GFS has, I believe, right now, to an extent, that will press the confluence from, here's the weekend storm, the current storm. This will press the excuse me. Again, I have no water tonight, so we're powering through. This will press the confluence from this storm for south and delay amplification. Prevent those height lines from working upstream sooner. It will delay 250 from being able to couple and amplify sooner. So all right, it'll delay that from being able to I mean, oh my God, that's just Jesus. It doesn't get too much more gorgeous than that. We'll talk about that in a second, but we forgot here. Okay. So compare that to the GFS, for example, right? And then next we're going to look at the Euro. You see the difference here? GFS, Canadian. GFS, Canadian. So the GFS, I mean, the Canadian might have a slightly stronger block, but GFS is pressing a little bit further down. And also more Atlantic ridging builds back in sooner. So the quicker Atlantic ridging builds back in, that will allow amplification sooner. Right now, in my opinion, with this setup, I'd rather see some models like show the rain freaking come over us. And like I'd rather see solutions in this range have rain into the coast than be way out and try to get this to come back northwest. That's what I would like to see right now. So here at 500 millibars, again, gorgeous. Yes, it does not. It doesn't get more gorgeous than that. I'm sorry. From 250 synoptic setup, doesn't get too much prettier than that. That's the benchmark. Again, we're powering through here. I should have brought my El Agua down. I was fiending to get down here to stream tonight, so in a rush. But again, weak western ridge in place, west-based negative NAO, 50-50 setup here, which allows mid-Atlantic, especially allows the mid-Atlantic to get involved here. But the caveat with the Atlantic ridging in place. Strong dynamic piece of upper level energy, cold air in place. There's only one place for this storm to go if we were to see this happen. No, I'm not stopping the stream. Are you kidding me? This is where mental toughness comes in. You guys had no idea. I could go a whole. I mean, I guess I could go a while, but I could go if I really had to. I could go a whole day without water. I could power through. I could stream 24 hours straight, no water. Just give me a meal at some point. All right, you're just using Google Translate at this point, huh? All right. So let's take a look at the Euro. So here's the weekend storm, comes through, and then look at the confluence. Let's compare it. 18Z was already gorgeous enough as it is. I'm not sure how we were going to get too much more gorgeous than that, but so one thing I've noticed some of these runs here is this confluence has pressed a little bit further, this part of the confluence, but this has let up a little bit. So it might even out some here. Reminder, I haven't looked at this yet. My gut told me then. Right, 18Z, and look at the orientation though. That's the big ones. Holding everything back a little bit more here. See the stream separation? We get more stream separation here. 18Z, OZ, look at that. More stream separation. This gets out sooner. Atlantic ridging builds in more. Bada bing, bada boom. 2 feet of snow. Get some water, bro. No. I'm perfectly fine. Don't tell me to do anything. I'm perfectly fine. All right. So, I mean, yeah. That's just. We're gonna run back to music. It seems like it's good luck here. I mean, yeah. Just another bomb of a run. That 18Z would have been gorgeous too, man. 12Z, compare 12Z to OZ, take a look at the difference. Everything's wrapped up a little bit better. Ignore the haters. Yes, ignore that. It's all right. A few coughs my way through it. We'll be fine. I mean, look at that. Take a look at 700 here. Yeah. I mean, 700 closes off over Nantucket. I guess we'd have to. It actually amplifies too, sort of. It amplifies so early that I don't a lot over in as much as in New England, but I wonder what the ratios are at this point. The low, basically. And yeah, it's your magic. Here's your fun snowfall map. I'd rather see that right now. Give me early amplification. Send that mix line all the way here. Give me over amplification early on. Yeah, not for you. I'm fine with that. Here's another thing. So here's the Canadian one too. It's gorgeous, obviously, as well. Obviously. Is that good enough? I think it's good enough. I think it would do it. So Going to be interesting. Euro AI. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Euro AI. I have some thoughts there. Yeah, it did not. Euro AI has struggled the past couple storms. It's been kind of frustrating. It was doing so well, but yeah. So here's what. Look at the low occludes snow. That's so impressive. Usually too, I will say, the last time we saw the low occlude in some of these, the last time we saw the low occlude on model runs was 2022. So, yeah, explains it. Another thing, I think a couple things, honestly. So before we, so here's the thing. You see here, if you're curious, this is more of meteorology. For people curious, why? You're probably wondering why. How come it shows a 968? Why does it show a 970? Why does it show it get to a 960? Why does the heavy snow not be as much in like Maine, for example, as say Hudson Valley? It's because it's not about how strong it gets. It's about how strong it is amplifying. It's a period. It's the strongest period of amplification. That is what you look for here. Look at 700. This is when it is most important. It's how strong it gets over a period of time. That is when your heaviest snow will be. So your heaviest, for example, on this run, you see how it's from a 10-0 whatever, 10-10, 10-10 millibar. Your strongest period is going to be when it goes from 10-10. Your strongest is going to be really when it goes from like 10:01 to 973. That's going to be when it drops 30 millibars in like 24 hours or whatever. That's going to be your strongest period. Your strongest period of strengthening is not when it's at its strongest point. It's not when it's at 968. You see that? Then it weakens because it maxes out. It's like a hurricane. You've maxed out the potential you can do with your system at that point. So you can't get any stronger. You've stacked 500. I mean, look how many freaking lines are closed off there at 500. You're completely closed off 500, 700, 850. You're completely closed off here. There's no more. You've maxed out the atmosphere. That you've maxed out your potential here. So that's why you don't see as much snow, an example, in Maine, even though it's so amplified as Hudson Valley, for example. So there's a little bit of, some meteorology I like to bring up every once in a while that helps, explain some of the model runs. So again, this is part of the reason why there's such high potential Atlantic to New England, is because it has an opportunity to go from its weakest point to strongest point within this time frame, and happen rapidly. And so here, there's probably some over amplification. Honestly, the Euro probably takes this thing and can tend to wrap these things up a little too soon, but you'd rather see the over amplification right than the under, in my opinion. It's fine. Like the GFS, this is fine. This is a fine spot to be right here. That is a fine spot to be, especially given a progressive bias as well. This is a fine spot. Well, we need to be a repeat of Jonas or the 2016 blizzard. I don't remember the setup there. I'd have to go back and look. Based off the top of the head memory, this is not the same setup though. Quite. It's not the same setup. But yeah, off the top of my head, it's not the same setup. How's coastal Connecticut looking? Snow or rain? Are you talking about next week? Wes, or this week, or tomorrow? Tomorrow, Connecticut will go from snow to ice to rain. Coastal Connecticut, yes, coastal Connecticut will go from snow to ice to rain. Next week, you would likely be all snow if this does hit. But there's not enough to suggest that this is going to hit yet. There's not enough support to say this is definitely going to hit. But there, again, like we said, there's two options here, in my opinion. Two most likely scenarios. Either get shunted. This works to shunt the upper level energy offshore, and this amplifies way off the coast. Or we see a clean phase and Noah's Ark, but snow from DC to Portland. Tomorrow's storm is going to be nasty. It is going to be. It's going to be a complete slop fest. Next week, yes, Wes, this would be all snow next week. Absolutely, very likely. It would take a very, very extreme amplification scenario for this. I would favor this going. I would favor this not hitting over this being a mix, in my opinion, as of right now, at least. So that's kind of where I stand with that. It's just the block. You have two. There's enough confluence and enough of a high pressure in place to prevent this from being able to get pulled so far north. So that's why you have such a high ceiling with this storm as well, is because you're going to amplify this. But look what happens. You're not wrapping this up, and it's continuing to progress. You basically wrap it up, it slows down and almost stalls, and then gets pulled off. We call that a blizzard loop, is what we call that. When it does the wrap in the loop. See it? Does the blizzard loop right there. And theoretically, yes, there is some. I wouldn't rule out some variation of a double barrel structure in this setup too, where some of the even though we have Atlantic ridging, the convection out ahead, I wouldn't rule out some sort of a double barrel that would maybe delay amplification as well. I wouldn't rule that out, and this is why I think. And again, I'm not just saying it to make the people in Maine happy, so to say, because really anybody from here to here in this run is smiling from ear to ear. I mean, even Maine too. I mean, be realistic. You would take a foot of snow, but it is off that you often see that it try to blow smoke in this range. You're going to see some probably if we start getting confidence this is going to hit. You're going to see some crazy model runs that likely overdo it. Blizzard of 2022, even for as extreme as that was, with some places seeing over 30 inches of snow. Yes, double barrel is what happened in 2022. And again, I'm just not saying a full-on double barrel. I'm just saying like a delayed amplification, so to say, first, like an initial like semi double barrel structure before this thing really just consolidates. That's kind of what I'm saying. Yes, we did show that in 22 as well. Okay. Oh, that's fine. I had to cough. If I have no water, I have to cough at least. Sorry. Saying two, yes. Again, cold air in place. I mean, it's too early to talk about ratios. I'm not going to even. But yes, cold air is going to be in place. 2022, there was a Euro run a couple days before that did a loop around the benchmark. Yeah, we had some of those. We had some insane model runs during that time. I will say though, with this one, as at least as of now, the orientation, the low is a little bit more tucked. The low is a little bit more tucked, so it would certainly be harder. But again, we can't get too much into specifics so far out. But we can for the sake of the specific model run, but not too much for for that. But again, where's favored? You want real answers? Somewhere like in here. Draw out one bigger. Go one bigger. There we go. And the highest ceiling potential. In here. That's where the highest ceiling potential is. I-95 to northwest of 95, DC to Portland is where the highest ceiling with this storm is. If it does hit, be one to remember. Be one of those historic ones. If it doesn't, maybe at most a coastal scraper, but it likely gets shunted off to sea, and it'd be more like a GFS. Really, this whole area here. So I don't know why it looks so messy. It looks like an earthquake chart, but this whole area here is where I'm looking at right now for the highest ceiling potential. Yeah, we'll look at the ensembles in a second. The year folds. It was so out of left field. Ashan, I know you were doing something for like 20 minutes and then you came back in and you just typed that. I know you did that. But yeah, this is where I'm looking right now. Again, I'm perfectly comfortable saying anywhere where I just drew, if this hits, this has a chance to be one of your top 10 snowfalls of all time. Perfectly comfortable saying that. Anywhere in this region here, very capable of being one of your top 10 snowfalls of all time, wherever your closest city is to you. DC, Baltimore, Philly, Trenton, New York City, Long Island. I don't know what Islip would it be? Hartford, Providence, Worcester, Springfield, Boston, Manchester, Portland, all those cities there where all those climate sites are. Someone is getting a swift kick in the what if that happens. Yes. His name starts with a B. But Twisted, would that be it? Wow, sucks to be in the bullseye 6 days out. After this winter, I would take the bull. Let's do this another day or two, and it's fine. The difference here, what I'll say is, I know people are holding on to some past. It's the ensemble support, which does it for me. Virtual, yes, I do stream on YouTube. Boardroom Cap. Yes, I do stream on YouTube. I stream on YouTube and X. Currently doing both there. If you want to come on YouTube, you can come in right now. We got a lot of people in the chat there. X people tend to like to just view more. We do get a lot of, if you're in X, you can say hi right now if you want to. Let me know where you're from here on YouTube. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, everybody shout out, put where you're from. Let me know where you're watching from. But yes, we do YouTube and X is where we stream. So yeah, so that's where I'm watching right now. I'll briefly mention before we look at the ensembles, the Euro AI, the concerns here. Now, I will say the GraphCast Euro, the GraphCast ECMWF is much closer. It's a much closer with this. So before people start going all berserk over this, and the GraphCast ECMWF has performed better even than the Euro AI, which has performed pretty well this winter. So what does it show though? Delayed amplification, get shunted off. And it's that miss, right? It's perfectly reasonable within the scenarios we're talking about here, and it makes perfect sense based on what we have. So that is, why I mention it. That's why I show it. You can't only show all the good models, right? You have to show some of. Well, I mean, a lot of times I'll show what I think aligns best with my thoughts, but here thoughts aren't super clear quite yet. Just inside of 6 days, right? 5.5 days out. Yep, shout out Mystic, Connecticut, Wes. Absolutely. I'm from Grafton, Mass. So represent. But yes, this would be where you can see right here. There's not enough room for this thing to breathe, so it gets shunted. Delayed amplification happens offshore. Certainly a possibility. Can't rule it out. But I will say is, as we're moving closer here, it would be an epic. It would be the Euro's most epic failure all winter long. It'd be the Euro's most epic failure since February 13th, 2024. It would be the Euro's most epic failure since then. 100%. How is Washington D.C. looking for odds if being hit hardest? What do you mean by that question? I feel like there's multiple questions in there. Fantasy football. How is Washington D.C. looking for odds if being hit hardest? Are you saying how is Washington D.C. looking for odds to get hit the hardest? I think that's what you're saying. Like I just said, I highlighted this area here. Let me draw it here. So it's kind of where I'm watching right now. So this is the highest ceiling potential for next week. This is the highest ceiling potential for a blockbuster snowstorm next week. Snowstorm potential exists all the way back into here as well, back into the Southern Plains. For any of my Midwest and Ohio Valley followers. Let's take a peek at the ensembles. When do you think we'll know which direction this is going? We'll know by Monday whether or not we're getting a storm. We should know by Monday. If we have by Monday, if we have a legitimate shot of getting a big blizzard, we'll know by then. So the ensemble support would be very revealing. It would have to be. I think Sunday would have better than Monday. It wasn't only the Euro that did terrible on February 13th. was every single model moving way south. The AIs were um, no, I remember. Most models 4 days out were showing a something much stronger, something much different than what happened, proceeded to happen at least. Let's see. Let's go to the ensembles here. Are you leaning more towards storm or out to sea? I'm neither right now. I'm monitoring. That's what I'm doing right now. Certainly on the table. Sorry, that sounded like I ripped there. That was just me thinking. Or maybe you don't believe it. It's fine. Let's go to GFS ensembles. I'm just not sold yet. I'm just not sold yet. I've seen too many model funsies, and I'm not sold it. Yes, Yuki was a hit as well. All right. Atlantic Ridge and building in more, but high pressing more on the GFS. Let's take a look at the panels. Definitely still some hits in there for sure, but obviously not feeling there's a good amount of hits still in there, but not feeling the same support as our other models. Now let's take a look at the Canadian. It's the regular Canadian birdie. Yeah. Honestly, the Canadian ensembles were more, I think, more impressive at 12Z than OZ. Still a ton of hits, but I think they were more impressive. I don't know what the average is going to come out to. I don't care much about the snowfall average. As more, I like the looking at the individual members in the 500 millibar look. Yeah, it's less. It's way less than not that it matters like too much, but just interesting. The operational was further inland, but I would be more curious about this now. Let me see. The gorgeous 500 look there. 12Z. Let's see. Looks like it presses a little bit more with the high. A little less stream separation. But the general look is still there. I'm not gonna. That's more important. Okay. Euro ensemble. Let's take a look. 18Z. Look at 12Z. 6 hours. OZ. 12Z. Not too different, honestly. It's very, very similar. Very, very similar. Very, very similar to LZ, which is actually a good sign. We actually don't want to see too many. We want to see more consistency than changes. Let's get the panels. And yeah, a lot of hits. A lot of hits. And I'm cutting out some too. There are a ton of hits. It's 26 through 50. No, I don't want the toll. Man, there are a lot of hits. Go here. Oh, it's a lot of pink. Yep, there are a good amount of hits here. Definitely a good amount of hits. Euros obviously has the strongest. Look at this, the fun stuff, and it's more than an impressive mean, so to say. So 6 to 10 inch mean. Very impressive. Very impressive. Very impressive look. That's what you want to see, though. You want to see what's the max there? 9.6. Yeah, it's a very impressive mean in this time frame. Definitely what you want to see. Seems like theoretically, a lot of the ensembles here. Actually, I don't know what the GFS number was. Not that it matters. I just forget. No. Snow total, surface, winter, 4-day. Yeah, there we go. All right. Yeah, it's less. So it seems like all the OZs were technically, I guess, further southeast with the snowfall, but still very good consistency from the two that were already showing it, the Canadian and the Euro, and then the GFS is just the GFS right now. That's the ensemble look. Yeah, that was for the GFS what I just showed. Late to the party, wondering what the OZ Euro gifted the Northeast. Yeah, we can show that. But here's the panels again. You can see here, obviously, going bazonkers. A lot of them going bazonkers. A lot of them too, like just showing it. Again, I think some of these are skewed. In my opinion, it's going to be hard for this thing to amplify and get shunted. And you see some of these models, just like the spread, do that. Gets amplified or it doesn't. In my opinion, you wrap it in or you don't. I find it right now, in my opinion, I just think it either gets shunted or wrapped in. The upper level energy, like the 46 up there in the top right corner, I would find a scenario like that hard to believe. Just you either have the setup there to wrap this thing up and gain some latitude, or get shunted. That's how I see it was right now. But the OZ Euro, what did that show? Pull that up. Again, you can see our TPV lobe there over the northern US coming down, and then our southern wave out ahead out in front. What happens is, again, like I said, it either gets wrapped into the flow or it gets shunted. I don't see, in my opinion, I don't see either or. Gets wrapped into the flow here. 500 consolidates. Completely tucks. Does the blizzard loop actually. And yeah, drops a ton of snow. From the southern plains to Midwest, Ohio Valley into the Northeast. In New England. Lots of snow, obviously. Don't worry when you're late to the party. Always answer your questions anyways. So, obviously, bomb of a snowstorm. A dream for mid-Atlantic to Northeast snow lovers. I don't think too many people are complaining about that. That's for sure. I mean, again, that would be an absolute gorgeous. I will, like I said, if this happens, I will record myself diving headfirst around the trough into the snowbank, into the snowdrift. A bank would hurt. I record myself diving headfirst. We would need to get over 2 feet of snow though, for sure. Haven't had a 2-foot snowstorm since 2015. That's what we would have to. That's what we got to get. A win for all snow lovers in the region feels so hard to get. It often is. Mesoscale, synoptic setups. It's easier for models to smooth that out and kind of print it in the medium range. And then as you get closer, some of those mesoscale features get resolved. And it oftentimes is difficult, but this is certainly a setup where, I mean, really the best setup, I think, since 2022 and probably maybe even 2021 for an I mean, I'm trying to think. We really have not had, a DC to Boston, let alone DC to Portland, um, in a long time. In a long, long time. I don't think 2018. And, like we would be talking, obviously, like 1 to 2 feet is what we would be talking about in theory. Oh no, it's happened. It's happened. I'm just trying to think in recent memory. 2013, I don't think so. Not 2015. 2016 might be the closest thing. But even that didn't get up into, that really didn't do too much in New England. It was mainly, no, 1996, yes, but I think later than that, or sooner than that. 2014, 2010, I think 2005 might have. I think 2005. Blizzard of 2005 might have. Or 2006. One of those years. So many good blizzards we've had, man. So many good. We really have been blessed. Not gonna lie. So yeah, I mean we can't complain too much. So yeah, we've been lucky. I mean this is where I mean even in what we haven't had the big one yet. What about snow totals for Northeast Oklahoma Tuesday? Well, welcome, Logan. I'm not gonna lie, I am not your best bet to make an Oklahoma snow forecast, but I will certainly give you my best thoughts. Sorry, don't mind me P type mapping. I don't know where exactly in Northeast Oklahoma, but um, seems like theoretically the mix line could be a concern depending on where exactly you live. But again, that gradient between the high pressure and the low pressure forming certainly could allow for some blizzard-like conditions potentially. Couldn't rule that out, but more moderate snowstorm potential than anything else. Again, that'd obviously be significant in Northeast Oklahoma, but at least several inches of play north of Tulsa. At least several inches of snow is at play. I don't know if we're talking digits really out there, but seems like you'll have an opportunity for at least 3 to 6 inches potentially out there. I can't guarantee it. Sorry, I'm not going to claim to be an Oklahoma expert, Logan. But hopefully that gives you a good idea that certainly accumulating snow is possible, and that it seems like several inches of snow because again, this is happening, rather soon. This is 4 days out. Um, and again, it really all is going to come down to the timing of the upper level energy, and it's still not ashore. So, I think you'll get a much better idea Sunday night, Monday, on exact totals. So hopefully that helps a little bit. But I'm certainly not going to claim to be an Oklahoma expert whatsoever. But hopefully that helps. You're definitely at play for at least several inches. It's always someone in the screw zone. Last big event was 2016 for us in Philly, but it was very limited to portions of southern New England. Yeah, I mean, for example, I got about 5.5 inches. Southern, Southwest Connecticut had like a foot to a foot and a half, and New York City had 30 inches. It's about 100-mile gradient there, roughly, give or take, and maybe less than, honestly. And that's probably, but yeah, probably about 100-mile gradient, and maybe a little bit more, and That's the difference right there. So I'd have to go back and look, but I don't think this is a 20. I don't. This is. Uh, this doesn't remind me of 2016, at least off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, it doesn't. But I have to go back. I would have to go through the archives, kind of. I feel like here in DC, we have been in a major snowstorm drought since like 2016. Well, here's the thing. 2016 skews a lot of people because that was like one of the most historic. That's like the benchmark. I believe it was. Was it? It was like the second highest. It was like one of the top three snowstorms of all time in DC. I don't know how they measure at Reagan, but Dulles was like 24 or whatever, 26 or something. It's like the top three snowstorm of all time, right? Those don't just happen. Like there's a reason it's top three of all time because there's only been two other freaking storms that have been more than that. There's a reason of all time in the records, so you can't just expect it to happen. But certainly it definitely has been a minute since DC has seen, like a 15 plus inch snowstorm. But again, it's not. You got to remember, DC doesn't average, a ton of snow every winter. Otherwise, you'd be more susceptible to getting that big blizzard. There's a reason. The Northeast gets more snow. Oh, We can take a look at the you commit. It's gonna ruin it, but my computer was quiet, but it's okay. Yeah. Certainly. See 700. Yeah. What a bomb there. What an absolute bomb. Absolutely. Bombs out right there over New York City, Southern New England. Look at that. Oh. Makes everybody happy. Moderate snowstorm DC, big snowstorm New York City, monster snowstorm Southern New England. Yeah. Yuki's done okay. I'll give it credit, even though it doesn't hold its ground like it used to. It's doing all right this winter. Okay. Let me get out of pivotal before it crashes me. Dun, dun, dun. Miss any questions? Euro gets 5 big booms. Sorry, I may be too old for that reference. Is that a tick reference? I'm not a. Oh, sorry, I'm not a TikTok guy. Are you talking about snowstorms? I would keep an eye on this time frame, though. I would keep an eye on this 23rd to 26th time frame. I would keep an eye on that still. I'd keep an eye. Look at that. You would still have cold air in place. I mean, that's a setup waiting to happen right there. Arctic air, that Arctic air just remaining in place to the north northeast too. Now that would be more like 2022. The PV orientation to the north there. UNC. Oh, Unk. Oh, good. Costco guys, I do not know. If you're talking about Bring the Boom, I do know the reference. I still actually don't really know it, but I do know the reference. If that's what you're talking about. You're talking about Bring the. I do know that, but I don't really know it. Are these storms going to keep training across the U.S.? No, not to the same extent. Not to the same extent. We're probably gonna end the pattern here, this weekend, and a new variation then starts happening next week. Obviously, as you can see, and then opportunities remains though. Go back to satellite. Take a look here, northeast of Japan here in Asia. And this was a little while ago. You saw in my tweet. This was further south here. I'll bring up that post. I'll show you last night. I'll show you what I'm talking about. That was a great post, by the way. All right. Some people look way too far into these. Like some people are like, the GFS, really? I'm like, come on, my man. It's really not that serious of a post. It's really not. Especially anytime I have a GIF, anytime I have a GIF attached, it's oftentimes really not that serious of a post. Like even this too, like I kind of knew some people were gonna like probably try to be like, models suck. It's like, relax, all right, well, relax. Take the testosterone down just a little bit, okay? It's fine. We can relax a little bit. It's gonna be okay. What was it? Here. Any day now. It's literally my profile that you're not even pulling up. So thank you. Can we? No, it's fine. I can zoom in. Let's do that. Can see here. This was, I guess, late last night, early morning. There is our current storm. This is next week's storm. Look how beautifully wrapped up this was last night. Occluded low there. All right. Suggesting that maybe we're not done quite yet. Maybe we're not done after. That would depend on upper level energy timing and placement. So yeah, tricky there, but certainly possible. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's go to here. Let's go to zoom in more. There you go. There's all the members. Combines this weekend and next week. And that's 10-1. So you can pick your favorite. That's 1 through 25. Here's 26 through 50. Just pick your favorite member. And it will happen magically. If you believe it. If you wear your PJs inside out, put a spoon under your pillow. What was it? Something backwards? I don't know. And yeah, it will happen. Was it Field of Dreams? Build it and they will come. Noah's Ark, but the snow version. That'll come. Evan Almighty. It's a good movie. So let's do the same thing with the Canadian. Let's see. Pick your favorite. Yeah, I know my favorite. I'll take 18. I'll take an order of 18, please. Do the same thing with the Jeffs. I don't really like too many. I'll take 18. 18 again. What you know? All right, good. ECMF ensembles. Here we go. Snow total. What did you say? You believe in 44. 44. Of course you do. Of course you do. Of course you do, Twister. I believe in 44 for you too. For you specifically. Not for anybody else though. I really believe in I really believe in 1 for me personally and 18. Really believe in 1 and 18 for me, and then I believe in 44 for you and 13 for you as well. So yeah, so that is there's our storm right now. She's a beaut, Clark. Got that. You can see it. See the overrunning happening right now here. See this thing amplifying already? Early amplification, but overrunning out ahead. Look at this. All this overrunning out ahead. This is what's coming tomorrow. That's what's coming tomorrow. You can see as we're entering a more favorable phase of the MJO too. See in the tropics here. All the convective pulse going on here. Your moisture tail. All the way from the Pacific, you can draw this from. The atmosphere, I'm telling you, is way more connected than a lot of you than a lot of you realize. Super connected. Not like to your fault or anything. I'm saying then if you really look between the nuances, it's you can start picking up on stuff. This wraps up. Overrunning gets out ahead, obviously. But this really starts tomorrow. See that? You're blocking in place here. Overrunning out ahead. Moisture tail feeds into this system. And then take a look here. Here's your weekend system. And then I would say this is 23rd to 26th. Now, I'm not saying a storm's going to happen because it's not there. It's not there in the very long range right now. But I keep an eye on it. 23rd to 26th, I'd keep an eye on it down the line here. But yeah, I mean, you can kind of paint the picture for what's going to happen here. I mean, obviously, very, very well organized system out here. Very, very. Mid-level water vapor. All is overrunning out here already. Beautiful. Beautiful. You love an active moisture. Active moisture feed. You love it. Go to the boom boom. Show you. I'll show you. Oh. Let me go to surface moisture. What? Show it. Oh. Upper air, surface precipitation, surface probabilities. We go to maps. So, we'll go to tits. Tropical. How we doing? We go here. Lower precip. Oh no. Houston, we have a problem. All right, let me go to. Yeah, we'll go North Atlantic. Why not? Low. Come on, give me no, give me the freaking. No. There we go. That's what I want. That's 258 hours out. So there's your Tuesday storm. You see that? Look at it. See all this overrunning precip out here, all this moisture out ahead here. Make a little bit more sense compared to the up level look. You're able to get what you got. There's Thursday, Friday. Comes a beast of a cyclone up there, up by Canadian Maritimes. And look at this. This is what happens tomorrow. Look at all of this plume of moisture. We talked about how well saturated we're going to be. There's 700 millibar to 300 millibar relative humidity. Take a look there. Super, very, very well saturated until the transfer happens. Boom. And look at that, all that. And remember, mid-latitude cyclones are going to pull in a lot of dry air to the system, into the core of the system. And then surrounding it is that moisture. You can see the front here. You can follow the front, pretty easy to pick up on there. And then look how this sets the stage then going forward. And we start looking at the next system. The Euro out, because then it's going to show it better. That's not. 18s will kind of show it. And then look what 18. This is 18s a Euro, but as you can see, look what happens. Oh, we're going to show 250 millibars next. We'll show 250. But look what happens. You see that? So there's your moisture out ahead, right? So that's the snowstorm that happens across the the southern plains into the Ohio Valley, into the maybe even northern regions of the south and southeast, northwest portions. And then look what happens. Then the upper level energy. So where we are, the upper level energy. No, give me 500. No, you gotta give me 500 volt here. Am I too zoomed in? There we go. And then, so that's a little small for you. It's not for me, but. So then look what happens. See how 500, and then look what happens once you see as the TPV lobe turns, look what happens. And the system rotates up, the upper level low consolidates. You see that, how that happens here? Right in here. See how the upper level low then consolidates as the spin, right? As this turns into a system, we see that stream interaction. Look what happens here and the moisture. You're going to see all that then wrap in. So the flow gets backed completely, right? Your trough turns negative and you wrap the flow completely. So all of this wraps around your trough here and gets wrapped in out ahead. So boom, you get massive snowstorm. Watch. Take a look here. Boom. So you're more, see, it gets out ahead, and then look, as the upper level energy, where we start seeing our system consolidate and stack, look what happens. The flow starts to back, slows down, and all of that moisture look what happens. All of that moisture then, look what happens, gets sent out here. Right? Textbook. It's a textbook setup in terms of potential here. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Very beautiful. And then you look at the 250 jet. Boom. Look how the jet configuration couples. You see that? Boom. And then you look at, and then you start looking at that right entrance region there of that fortress. Just gorgeous. Looking. You look right in there, baby. Right, like to look in that right entrance region, oftentimes of that of your jet. CMC. Calabunga, whatever you want to call it. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Just beautiful dual structure. Okay. So this is what's happening. It's happening. Busy times. That's what's happening right now. We are so back. I'm not guaranteeing it quite yet. We got to get through tomorrow first. Get through tomorrow, and we still have. We need the agreement. That's the biggest thing, in my opinion. I need to see the agreement first before I can start getting on board with this, bloody. But we certainly have the potential with this. So, but even before then, don't take next week. Don't take tomorrow for granted as well. A lot of people are going to get snow tomorrow, and some people could get some pretty big snow totals too, especially into New England and the interior Northeast. There's going to be some pretty big snow totals tomorrow. So a lot of times with an overrunning setup like this, a lot of that precip can get out ahead even earlier than forecast. On that, I anticipate will be well saturated. It'll be kind of a there won't be mid-level forcing driven. Versus like kind of some of these last couple events here where we haven't been well saturated. This is going to be different tomorrow. We're going to be well saturated, and we're going to be able to get snow going out ahead. And I think we're going to do pretty well. I got to make a snow map. I don't think I can wait till tomorrow either. Well, it's going to start, and I don't like making snow maps when my rule. Some people have different. For me is I try to always make my snow map before it starts in the area of the map. Anytime. Like snow falling. Snow falling. So that's what I try to do at least. Because if you wait too long, then it's like it's a little easy. Some people have different thoughts about it, but I don't like to put out a bunch of different maps beforehand, and I like to relay my thoughts to y'all, and then as we get typically the night before or the morning of the night before or the morning of the night, that's when I like to make the maps for you. So yeah. All right, I think that is gonna do it. Sorry, no 3 twisted, but busy times ahead. Very likely going to be streaming tomorrow night as well, bearing an absolute model failure. At least I will try my best. I can't guarantee it. When it's snowing, guys, it is very difficult for me to stop enjoying the snow and hop on stream. It is very difficult, but I will do my best at some point tomorrow to stream as well. Too much to talk about right now. So, without further ado, I appreciate everybody coming in. I hope you enjoy your February 15th, and I hope you all get the snow you want tomorrow.